Yeah, I thought I would do a quick Ultimate 83 GTI project wrap up and go through some of the feedback on the project from the recent press coverage that was initially pushed out by Volkswagen. So the background to that, VW's introducing the Mark 8 GTI now for the next year, 2021 kind of launch globally. And they were looking for a pre-article, something to generate some conversation around Volkswagen and the GTI and the 45 plus year history of it. So by reaching out to me, because I had a reasonable YouTube channel following and project following, they're able to sort of tie the Mark 1 onward story into the present, the Mark 8 story. And it was a lot of fun working with their PR agency and Volkswagen themselves, and really super surprised how the uptake was. We ended up with articles with the online editions of Car and Driver, Motor Trend, Automobile Magazine, Road and Track, Hemmings, and on to lots of international sites in the Middle East, Central and Eastern Europe, and Asia, all over the place. So a lot of fun, and I've had lots of feedback from people. So I just want to make one point, which is that I only got the project done because of the support I received from other people around the world. I hadn't stripped a Mark 1 car down to the bare metal before. I'd done a 67 Chevelle SS 396 and other project cars where we've gone right to bare metal, but it's the first time I'd done it with the love of my life, the Mark 1. And that car, very, very storied history with my family. My father being, always being a German car lover. He drove quite a few Mercedes, but we owned a Volkswagen Beetle in the early 70s, and that was my getaway car at my wedding. And when the Volkswagen Rabbit, the North American version of the Golf, came out in 1976, in North America, my dad took me to the nearest VW dealership when we went and test drove one. So it was a bit of a natural for me when I saw the car on the front cover of Motor Trend. I guess it was also Car and Driver and Road and Track all did articles on that car in the October edition of November edition, which was published in October of 1982. So I was in my final year of engineering school, and I was thinking about what I was going to drive. I wanted to get a new car when I graduated, and I was going to get some financial assistance from my parents. And yeah, that was the easy decision for me back in the day. So going down to the bare metal in the car for me, 40, almost 30 something years later, it was a bit of a learning curve, a big learning curve. I knew the car. I'd done lots of mods on the original car, and I remembered them, but there was lots of stuff I'd never tackled before. And so it's people out there like yourselves that reached out to me and said, hey, try this, do this, don't do that. I had some incredible generosity from people sending me parts and just doing things out of a pure act of kindness. So, it takes a village to build a car, right? Like the Volkswagen Global Village. And I've been trying to give back to people as I've done this sort of YouTube series, trying to help people with their own projects. And so that's one thing. I just want to make sure that everyone appreciates that this is everyone's project, not just mine. The next piece, people do get confounded or sometimes critical of spending $140,000 US. Well, it was actually closer to $200,000 US if you included the racing parts, which I put on the car, removed, sold, put it back to street car. And I went through several versions of the designs of various elements of the car. So the project was actually ridiculously expensive, and people can accomplish much the same for a fraction of the budget if they don't have to go to the very, very latest and the very best and the most complicated way of solving problems each and every time they find something. For me, it was just an opportunity to go a little crazy. I had the financial resources personally to do it, although my wife wouldn't agree with that statement. But the bottom line is I was able to afford it. And so it was fun just sort of going and doing things, right to the extreme. And in case anyone doubts that I spent the money and they don't want to watch 180 videos, you can just go onto my website at derekschmidt.com, look up the Ultimate 83 GTI under the car projects, because there's lots of car projects there, and then you'll see a lot of documents in the project summary webpage, and one of them is the parts list that's all costed out. So another thing is vendors. This is becoming rarefied territory, working on the earlier Volkswagens, and there's some amazing resources that are still available. So Tectonics tuning is like probably preeminent in North America, ECS tuning, Black Forest Industries, and a few others that are VW Parts Place on the East Coast. So there's various people that are still in the game supporting the cars, which is fantastic. And then in Europe, obviously, Heritage VW in the UK and a few other places like that that are out there. And you just gotta crawl through. There's lots of links on my website to various sources for materials. Obviously, things like eBay. There's people that are selling new old stock stuff from Eastern Europe and Greece and further, even in Russia. So yeah, you just have to be patient and you have to be resourceful, and you can find a lot of these old parts. Because I talk to people and they say, oh, you can't do those projects now because the parts just aren't available anymore. And the answer is they're hard to find, but you can still do it. For me, a lot of the stuff I did on the project, it's hidden, right? You can't see inside the engine, inside the frame of the car, and a lot of stuff, once it's done, and it's no longer going to be seen unless you tear the car apart again. So some of the things I did, maybe don't need to worry about it, but it's nice to know that the interior of that car, I was able to make it look totally original. So underneath all that original look is all kinds of complexity and interesting stuff. But most people that see the car, the thing that they are drawn to is how clean and original it looks inside and out. So I'm happy that I stuck with that, which is snowflakes, 14 by 6 inch rims, and 185/60/14 tires, just making the car look the way it did back in the day. Because we all modded our old cars. The first thing we did is plus one on the wheels to go to the 15 by 7s, and even more extreme, and people lowering them and doing all the things they could to make the car as non-stock as possible. But we back 35 years later want to sort of pay homage to the original car the way it originally looked. So a ton of fun doing this project. Yes, I am going to do other projects, but right now I'm going to be focusing on a electric mini bike. So if you remember the 1960s and early 70s mini bike craze with the double 1-inch tubular, like dual 1-inch dual tubular frame with the 4 horsepower, 3 horsepower lawnmower engines on them, that type of mini bike, I'm stepping up and I'm doing to make them street legal. In most parts of the world, you have to have pedals. So I have foldable optional pedals, and up to a couple thousand watts of engine power, but software programmable to meet local regulations. So the idea is fully legal to be driven on the street, to be driven on bike lanes and such. And then if you wanted to go off-roading and tweak in software and increase the power to the motor and go faster, you can do that. So the idea is use the original design frame. We're scaling it up so it's a little bit larger so that two adults can sit on it, folding foot pegs, and because there's no more big gas motor, you can put groceries and other things in a sort of a pannier that's inside underneath the seat and the frame. So I actually think it's a really neat idea to go retro rather than the newer look to a lot of e-bikes, to have the original mini bike look. So we'll see. That's we're building a prototype right now, my fabricating friend Ted and I, and we're going to see where it goes. So you'll start seeing some videos about that. And we do have a website, e-minibikes.com, but we don't have much content on it yet. So just my contact information, basically. Anyway, thanks everybody again. It's been a real pleasure doing the project. Matt and Amanda Willett are the new owners in Vancouver here. I'll stay involved with them, and they'll let me drive it if I want to, whenever I want to. I'll obviously support them technically, and if and when it comes time to sell the car, I'll be participating in that transaction with them. For now, I'm just really happy that they're keen and that it's a fair weather car as far as they're concerned, and hopefully they'll take great care of it, and we'll be taking it to car shows around the Pacific Northwest. So hopefully people that want to see the car and maybe even drive it will have a chance to do so. And thanks everybody one last time for your support. The virtual VW community is a part of who I am, and I'm really grateful.